know how to do this.
Alright. Okay, guys, so yesterday we multiplied powers together. Today, 3.4, we're going to take those powers and raise them to a power. So before I give you the rule, let's do the first example and see if we can figure out the rule for ourselves. So, first example.
What?
Okay, so we have example 1, x to the 6th power, all of that to the 4th power. Okay. When I am raising something to a power, what does that mean?
You're multiplying.
I'm multiplying it how many times? By the exponent. So, if I have x to the 6th, all of that to the 4th power, what am I doing? I'm multiplying x to the 6th how many times? 4 times. I want you guys to write it all out. X to the 6th times x to times x to the 6th times x to the 6th times x to the 6th. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, now does this look like a rule that we learned yesterday? Yeah, what was the rule that we learned yesterday? You add all those exponents. So this is the same as x to the 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6, right? Which gives me an answer of x to the 24th. Okay, what do you guys notice about my problem and my answer?
Just like x multiplied by 4. 6 multiplied.
Yeah. When I'm multiplying x to the 6 times x to the 6 times x to the 6 times x to the 6, I'm really just multiplying 6 times 4.
So do we have to like break the whole thing out?
No. Our rule is that when I take the power of a power, so that means I have an exponent inside parentheses to an exponent. So it has to look like this, okay? All we have to do is multiply the two exponents together. Okay, so the rule is that you multiply the exponents. Now, I want you guys to remember, this only works when you have parentheses raised to an exponent. Okay, so you have to have parentheses raised to an exponent. It cannot be multiplying exponents. When we're multiplying powers, it's still adding the exponent. So the rule that we learned yesterday does not go away. This is just a new rule. Okay, so we have another rule, but I want you guys to try this one on your own first. So try example 2 on your own. Y to the 3rd, all of that to the 5th. Okay, so how did you do this problem? 29. No, but, oh. How about 31?
Okay, y 3 times 5.
Yeah, we have y to the power of 3 times 5. And ladies and gentlemen, what does 3 times 5 give me? 15, so my answer is y to the 15th power. Okay, who got that correct? Excellent. So, let's look at example 3 and see what happens if there's more than one thing inside of the parentheses. So example 3. We're going to actually expand this one. Okay, so there's more than just one thing inside that parentheses, right? We have a 3x to the 4th, all of that to the 2nd power. So inside the parentheses, I have a coefficient now. What does this mean? When I have 3x to the 4th, all of that to the 2nd power. That's 3x to the 4th times 3x to the 4th. So let's apply the rule that we learned yesterday. What do I do with these coefficients? Multiply them. So what does that give me? 9x to the
4.
Hold on. What do I do with the exponents? Add them. 4 plus 4. Which gives me 9x to the 8 as my answer. Okay, let's look at this. If my exponent is 2, what do you notice about 3 and 9? Exactly. 3 to the 2nd power is 9, right? And then we have x to the 4th power to the 2nd power. So 4 times 8 gives me, or 4 times 2 gives me 8. So this is the same as saying 3 to the power of 2 times x to the 4th to the power of 2, correct? Do you guys agree with that? Okay. So what I do is I call this distributing exponent. So the 2nd power of powers rule. So label it power of powers rule again. So we have 2 power of powers rule. One when there's only one thing inside the parentheses, and one when there's more than one thing inside the parentheses. Okay, when there is more than one thing inside the parentheses, you can take the exponent and raise each individual thing inside to that exponent. So in this general terms, it would be a to the m power times b to the m power. I call that distributing the exponents. Technically, it's not distributive property, but it's similar. Okay? So, the one thing I want you to remember, especially when we're dealing with coefficients, because even the high schoolers get this wrong, we are not raising a number, or we are not multiplying the number by the exponent. We're raising it to a power, right? So write down the rule for me really quick. Okay guys, so the reason why I say be careful is because the mistake that I see a lot of times is students distribute the exponent, okay, like they're supposed to, but they multiply 3 times 2. What does 3 times 2 give me? 6. What am I supposed to do? Not 3 times 2, 3 to the power of 2, which gives me 9, okay? So please remember that we're just looking at exponents here. We're not multiplying 2 times 3, okay? So just be careful with that. So I want you to try example 4 on your own then. Okay, so what did you do for example 4? Who's in 35? Andrew, what did you do for example 4? Okay, so you distributed the exponent. So when you distributed the exponent, what did that give you? Did you multiply 2 times 3, or did you raise 2 to the power of 3? Excellent. So 2 to the power of 3 times x, and what did you do with the exponents here? You multiply them. So 7 times 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what does that give me when I simplify? Who's 38? Gee, what did you get when you simplified? What about this number? What's 2 to the 3rd? 2 times 2 times 2? 8. 8x to the 21st power. So that should be your answer. 8x to the 21st power. Got it? Who got that one correct? How do you guys feel about this? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Thumbs up? Good. Okay. So let's make it a little bit more complicated. Why don't we? Oh. Example 5. X to the 3rd, y to the 4th, all of that to the 4th power. Okay, so I have more than one thing inside the parentheses, so I'm going to distribute that exponent. And when I'm raising a power to a power, do I add the exponents or multiply them? Multiply. Good. So this is the same as x to the 3 times 4, y to the 4 times 4. So what would my answer come out to be? X to the 12th, y to the 16th. And that's your answer. Please show this step when you're doing your work so that way I know that you know what you're doing. Okay? So do show that middle step before you write your answer. So I shouldn't see just answers when you do your homework. Okay? I need to see this middle step. Okay? All right. let's look at example 6. Now we're taking example 4 and example 5 and putting them together. So we have 3x to the 4th, y to the 5th, all of that to the 2nd power. Alright, so what did you do first thing? What was the first thing you did? Who's in 13? Genevieve, what did you do first?
I distributed
You distributed what? The exponent of 2, good, to everything, right? So you distribute it 3 times? Okay, after I distribute the exponent to what should I get? Who's in 7?
You.
Celia, what should I get?
3 again.
3 to the 2nd power.
X to the 4 times 2.
Perfect. X to the 4 times 2.
Then y.
Good. Y to the 5 times 2. Perfect. Okay, so now I have to simplify. How do I simplify, Jocelyn?
you got it right.
What's 3 to the 2nd power? 3 times 3, which is? 9. 9.
X to the 8th power and y to the 10th power.
Perfect. 9x to the 8th, y to the 10th. Raise your hand if you got this as your answer and you agree.
Oh, I did get that.
Perfect. You guys are awesome. Okay, that is the correct answer. Good job. Okay, problem did this academic opener today. We're going to do something like that, but with power of powers. So, example 7. 3x to the 2nd power, all of that to the 4th, plus 4x to the 3rd times x to the 5th. So we're actually combining all of the rules that we know so far. Alright, so what I want you guys to do, right under where you wrote example 7, will you write PEMDAS, the order of operations? Because order of operations always applies, it never goes away. So, P stands for parentheses. I see a parentheses here. Can we do anything inside of it? No, so we move on to exponents. Do you see any exponents? Yeah, where do you see it?
4.
Everywhere, but where do you see something that we can do?
4. Then
This one right here. 3x squared to the 4th power. So distribute that exponent. So that's going to give me 3 to the 4th power, x to the 2 times 4, plus 4x to the 3rd times x to the 5th. So all we did was this part right here, the exponents. Okay? Let's simplify that before we move on. So 3 to the 4th gives me what?
81.
81. X to the 8th plus 4x to the 3rd times x to the 5th. So I just simplified this part.
Is that the answer?
No, there's still more stuff to do. So I did parentheses, exponents, multiplication. Do you guys see any multiplication? Yeah. 4x to the 3rd times x to the 5th. What do I do with the exponents when I am multiplying? Do I multiply or do I add? Raise your hand for multiply. Raise your hand for add. Good. So we have 81 x to the 8 plus 4x to the 3 plus 5. So let's simplify this one. That's 81 x to the 8 plus 4x to the 8. 3 to the 4th power. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Okay? Okay. Or 9 times 9, yes. Alright, do you guys see any division? No. Do you see any addition? Yes. Okay. When I am adding, does anything happen to the exponents? No. It's combining like terms. Are these like terms? Yes. So what would 81 x to the 8 plus 4x to the 8 give me?
85 x to the 5th.
85 x to the 8, and that's my answer.
Yeah.